Ladies and gentlemen, let me first start with a very famous quote, which has been sort of written by one of my most preferred authors, Ernest Hemingway, in his final novel called True at First Sight. And why I'm doing so is, I'm just about to take you through a very innovative, groundbreaking system that, in my mind, is going to be the panacea for all the problems which are propping up day in and day out on the shop floor. So the quote is, whatever is lost on the roundabouts are won on the streets. One of the first quotes that he has mentioned in his Nobel Prize winning book, True at First Sight, which is his final novel. Because since I'm going to talk to you about a system, you all may be sort of wondering, whenever that I basically want to bring together a system, that you are sort of desperately wanting to achieve everything through the system. But it's not possible. In every system that we bring in, there are losses on the roundabouts for which you got to be compensating on the streets. So keeping that in mind, let me now take you through a very interesting session of absolutely innovative and groundbreaking real-time production and monitoring, which beyond a shadow of a doubt is the panacea for all problems, day in and out, pop out at the shop floor. And this is how my presentation is structured. I will basically take you through garmenting in a nutshell. So you might as well feel a little bit bored because I'm just going to sort of harp on the same sort of problems or sort of happy headaches, as I would call it, that you have to undergo every single day. So, and then I'll be taking you through RFID, the shop floor. In your predicament of an awful lot of unsolved problems at the shop floor, from reducing efficiencies to absolutely high wastage, to variations from the customer expectations, high defect percentage and high defective percentage and high lost time, whether it could be due to open downtime or machine downtime, or could be due to a lost time arising out of flow interruptions, and so on and so forth. And high absenteeism and awful lot of exceptions that you ultimately end up managing your process by. Because what happens in my mind is, for the most part, it all nicely starts with managed by objectives. Then you may be having exceptions. Whenever there are too many exceptions, it basically boils down to managed by crisis. So ultimately, you will be firefighting to achieve things. So firefighting to achieve things, or firefighting and bending over backwards to hit your target, is not the way to live. Because we should be doing things in a firefighting manner. We should be doing it, achieving our work-life balance. So, and this is where the RFID-aided real-time production manufacturing will basically have that distinctive competence over just manual way of doing things. And the third point is the strategic decision support tools through RFID. So just because you have an RFID for capturing data is never going to serve the purpose. What is the sole advantage or the sort of the vantage point of having a system? Is it just to give data? I'm sure that you will basically put a 2 thumbs up and say, no, it's not at all. Not on your any. So why it is there? It's basically there not only to give you data, but basically to help you make your strategic decisions at all levels of the organization, starting from the grand strategy, cascading down to the operational strategy, all the way down to the SBU strategy. So if the system is basically giving you that decision support power for you to effectively make strategic decisions at the right time, I think you are there. So that's why we should be going sort of putting our money of our RFID system in an unfulfilled longing to manage operations by objectives, not by crisis, not by exceptions. And from my personal experience, I know that because when I used to work for, one of Sri Lanka's most reputed garment factories, that merchandising was basically, in my mind, was basically managing by crisis. So there had been occasions where I had basically overheard people over the phone guiding the driver whenever the pressure starts cascading upon him, which way to drive. Because even that, if he takes a costly detour, whatever sample would be delivered on time. So it's all about managing by crisis when it comes to merchandising. So this is the panacea which can be of rescue to take you away, to give you the shift away from managing by crisis towards the shift to manage by objectives. So the other thing, RFID, getting down to the fourth point, RFID distinctive competence. Why? Now we all are talking of this competitive advantage. Now it's not the competitive advantage anymore. It's about distinctive competence. So that's about the differential edge that we were talking of, that every one of us is harping on. So what is the distinctive competence this RFID aided real-time production monitoring and tracking is poised to give you on? And then RFID in real time. And I'll be basically taking through how we have basically how we have applied or rolled out RFID in a real life situation. Because this is not just words, this is something that we have put into practice and where we have been sort of bringing to bear. We have been and will no matter bringing to bear a lot of savings. And finally, I'll be just sort of leaving it to you to ask whatever the questions that might as well have or that will have popped up in your mind. Okay, just to start off with, let me just take you through garmenting in a nutshell. Okay. So these are the key operational strategies that any garment manufacturer has to ponder about. First one, it's about increasing OTD. It's about increasing OTD because that's what most matters. So OTD is something that represents whether or not you are standing high in the eyes of the customer. So this is one of the KPIs which basically determines your way forward. And if you are basically doing really well on OTD, it basically leads to customer satisfaction, where you should be able to secure more orders, and then it basically leads to effective customer relationship management. So you are always sort of every single time you are sort of mulling as to how we are going to go that extra mile on OTD. And then how we are going to reduce rework. So being a Six Sigma black belt, I'm really interested in sort of helping factories reduce rework, because rework is all about cost of poor quality. And and then if you can reduce rework, and how does this rework reduction comes? Once the rework reduction is achieved, that means you should be able to sort of gear yourself towards absolutely 100% first time right. Whatever the 100 garments coming out of the production line has to pass inline quality without being sent back to the whoever operator to rework on it. So you have to reduce rework and then manage process variation. So this is one of the most important things I believe in. So garment manufacturing, now no matter what the manufacturing process is, and I mean in garment manufacturing it's all about living with variation. So there's no garment manufacturing or there's no any operation without variation. So what determines your success in this relentless game to manage variation or to live with variation is how effectively you manage it, how effectively you minimize your variation, and how effectively you are going to eliminate, you can't eliminate it, how we are going to manage the variation and how we are going to minimize the variation going forward. Because you are not allowed to allow any sort of, or afford to have any sort of special cost variation in the production process. It's just the normal cost variation that you should be living with. Because due to your machinery and due to the methods that you adopt and due to the material you use and due to the environmental factors and due to these 6 M's, there can be special causes. But which is not why the production people are there on the shop floor for. What it should be there is to convert that special cost variation into normal cost variation and to manage that variation. So the more you manage and minimize it, the less is the chance for you to deviate from the customer expectations or from the critical to quality customer aspirations or requirements. So you have to manage process variation and reduce downtime. I think downtime has become one of the most antagonizing problems that you all must be going through, is to reduce downtime. Because sometimes it's not just the downtime. If downtime happens, the mechanic is not just attending to it. It just becomes open downtime. And then no matter how many end-ons that you basically sort of alert them with, it's just that they will receive, they are not the sort of people to be even slightly receptive to downtime. So that's something that you want to reduce over time. And increase your process sigma level. So now you want to ensure that the number of defects that you are delivering per million opportunities is less. And this is one of the effective KPIs that we at MAs and sometime back at Brandis that we used to measure. So you want to increase your process sigma level. So then that's something that we should be able to proudly speak about when we go before the customer. Look here, our process sigma level is this. We have just flown the flag much higher than the others in terms of process sigma level. So that in itself leads to increasing customer relationship management. And then reduce rejects. It's all about, as he mentioned, he was sort of harping on the subject of reducing waste. The reduced rejects is about waste of raw material. If it's a reject, you can't go back. Because that's once and for all, it's a lost opportunity. Something that you can't recap. The opportunity cost of it is immense. It's happened, it's once and for all. Nothing you can't do anything about it. And then control absenteeism, as he pointed out, one of the main reasons why people are lagging behind the target is absenteeism. And if you don't have in a predicament where you don't have any system to measure absenteeism, it's just that you really won't know until the last minute what's going on. So the absenteeism is one of the most important factors, and in fact it's one of the most important drivers of the line efficiency. So if you basically get your OTD right, if you basically get your absenteeism right, if you get your downtime reduced, and if you control your WIP, and if you increase your process sigma level, and if you reduce your rework, all those are the drivers of the main KPI of OTD. So if you reduce all these drivers, it will increase the main KPI of OTD. So that is there we'll be achieving what's called the goal congruence in operational management. You have the drivers and your main KPI is OTD, and you want to ensure that this main KPI OTD is aligned with its drivers. So the moment you improve on these drivers, you will be improving your main KPI, which is on-time delivery. So now this is the sort of thought process that you all are in. And these are the critical success factors. So these are the critical success factors that we are more or less monitoring. The daily throughput is one of the KPIs that we are monitoring. And now what could basically go wrong in daily throughput time is you might as well end up just falling short of the target. And then again, it's all about lost time. And then it's about lost SH, standard elapsed hours. Then it's all about increasing cost per minute. So it's all about increasing cost per minute. So now we are faced with the risk of bringing down the average cost curve down, because we have already exhausted the short run. So as people who have exhausted the short run, now the challenge is, let alone expanding, to bring down the average cost curve down. How we are going to reduce the short run average cost per given output is what we should be looking at first, leave alone expanding into the long run, because we have already exhausted the short run. So in that, and the other thing, just getting down to the next KPI, is work in progress. That is, again, you have WIP management. So WIP management is all about lean manufacturing, because if you basically don't manage WIP, it might as well just get into what's called cost of holding excessive amount of inventory, which is not the order of the operation. So, and the defectives, if you have defectives, it will basically lead to customer dissatisfaction. So defectives, and first you should be measuring defects, and defective can basically encompass many defects. So first the basic sort of measurement factor, so the monitoring factor, the grassroots monitoring factor is sort of defects. And if you minimize defects, you can obviously defectives will get minimized, and that will basically increase your OTD, and you can basically maximize on your cut to ship ratio. And because of the OTD increases, you should be you can basically put a smile on the customer's face, which in turn will basically put a smile back on your face, and subsequently on the shareholders as well. And then the efficiency is about overtime. If you are basically lagging behind efficiency, that you will be having overtime, because you will have to basically maybe do another shift more and basically finish that order and go back home. But then again, it will basically a matter of adding an additional or excessive overhead per piece that's been sold. So which again is basically will do nothing other than to escalate or to increase your cost per piece, so average cost of production. And then we are talking of absenteeism. If the absenteeism is down, as I told, absenteeism is one of the drivers of the efficiency, which in turn will drive OTD. And obviously, the number of carts closed at the end of the day will go down. And if the carts are not closed, it's not the time on which you deliver, but you should be delivering according to customer size color ratio, then you will be failing on OTD. So that's how important absenteeism is. And downtime is equally important. If you basically have a machine down and it is not back on an even keel on time, then what happens is, you know for sure that you are not going to hit the target. And if it converts into an open downtime, if it's going to remain unattended, then what's happened is, then again, process cannot basically follow from that point onwards. So it's all basically adding to waste. It's about waste. It's basically, from a lean manufacturing point of view, it's one type of the 8 deadly waste, which is waste of waiting. And you'll be waiting without anything happening just because the machine is down. It's about waste of waiting. And the machine management. And this is very important, because you should be knowing what are the machines that are in-house, and what are the machines which have been hired out, and what are the machines which have been hired in, because at the end of the day, you know from which vendor you have sort of leased, you have sort of purchased which machine. So you should have a machine inventory to figure out which machine has been sort of hired in from which vendor, and which machine that we have hired out to a subcontractor or maybe a company who's hiring machines from us. So it's very important from a machine inventory management point of view just to have machine inventory. And all of these will basically lead to maximize the process flow, and maximize the process flow and standardize the process flow, and basically eliminate every single type of the 8 types of deadly waste. So then you will be maximizing the process flow, and once the process flow is maximized, that you will be adding to your net margin. You can increase your net margin, because ultimately what most matters is nothing other than your net profit, your bottom line. So then this one way, if you can effectively manage these KPIs have been harping on, then no wonder why you shouldn't be able to have a very healthy contribution to a NP margin via having bottom sort of a lean shop flow, where you can basically achieve a lean bottom line. And now, in the midst of everything, in the midst of these predicaments and your sort of desperation, or your sort of longing to come up with sort of congruent operational strategies to hit your OTD, RFID is a panacea, is the solution to all problems. So I am going to explain how RFID is just going to help you out of these problems I have been explaining. So this is an real-time system. This is a real-time system because this is a reader that I have been showing. So this is a data capture unit. This is a data capture unit, and then you've got RFID tags. And now the advantage of RFID system is about real time. Now what would be the difference between having your efficiency information on an hourly basis and having it every single time the garment comes out from the line? So that's about real time information. So you get up to the minute information. As and when it happens, you get basically information through RFID tracking, production monitoring and tracking. And then, as I was saying about, it's all about alerts to manage by exception. Whenever your efficiency is basically lagging behind the target, whenever the efficiency has slipped out of the upper control limit or the low control limit, that you should be able to, you can manage by exceptions. Whenever there's an exception, you will be alerted. So before it happens, say for example, if your output is, if you basically proceed at this rate of efficiency, it will let you know through an email alert that you are never going to hit the target over the next 5 minutes, over the next last 5 minutes of the shift. So then you can basically act more proactively than reactively, because in today's world, getting an information on an hourly basis is no good. So you have to, if you can get it even every 5 minutes, if you can be alerted on the efficiencies every 5 minutes, every 5 pieces that comes out from the line, I think there can be a better situation than that. Because that is the importance of getting information on KPI in real time. So you can act now rather than sort of postponing your action till the end of that hour. So consoles that give you a snapshot of your workflow to manage your objectives. Because every supervisor will have a real-time update on the KPI she's monitoring. All the KPIs, all efficiency, loss time, all the KPIs she'll be having track of in real time in terms of supervisor consoles. So real-time consoles that gives you a snapshot. And then real-time and historical reports. And not only real-time, you will be having reports where you should be able to hindsight and basically look back on the historical records. I mean, from a historical, how historically you have performed, you should be able to get through a set of reports. So this is the data capturing which is we are going to use. So down the slides, or maybe a little bit through the slides, I should basically take you through how it's being used, just to give you a sort of snap judgment of how it's going to function. Okay, and this is the RFID reader I was talking of. I'm not going to sort of much elaborate on that because as I'll be running out of time. Now this is basically an RFID reader that we basically use to enter data. It's basically a Sri Lankan product, it's a homegrown product. And this is a very low cost product, and this is something that we use to, all the operators can basically use this product, use this reader to enter in the defect. All the KPIs, even if you want to capture the defects by color, size, by defect code and by operator, this is the solution. And if you want to monitor efficiency, operator-wise efficiency by size, by color, by operation, you can enter that in. So all these KPIs can be monitored in real time. And these are the tags that I'm using. And this is an RFID tag. And this is a passive tag, because as active tags are around about $5 a tag. Now this is it's very low cost. And this is the tag that we are using, because we are sort of attaching this. I'll just come to the process how we are going to use this. This is the RFID tag, into which you will be feeding all the data pertaining to one PO which is downloaded from your ERP or from your whatever management information system. So this one tag will basically travel with either one garment, or in the case of washing, it has to travel with one garment. We have to give a tag a garment, but in the case of non-wash garments, it's just that we bundle. One tag is basically going to be allocated to one bundle, and that this tag travels along with the bundle. So that's the modus operandi. That's how it all happens on the shop floor. So these are the now once you basically bring in RFID, you don't have to sort of, it doesn't account for duplication of data, duplication of work, which again is from a waste of, it's basically a waste of time. So now this is from your existing MIS or maybe ERP. there's a facility for you to integrate all your PO data into a RFID system, and then from there it can take it forward. So you don't have to re-enter all the data, any sort of data into our system, because it's taken care of from the moment it's downloaded from our ERP. So in this process, we basically use 4 tags. We'll be giving a tag for each bundle on the shop floor, and we'll be giving for mechanics, we'll be giving a tag. Because why we give the tags to mechanics, I'll explain later the reason behind why we are giving a tag a mechanic. And then we'll be basically giving, these are the bundle tags. So these tags are bundle tags. And then for supervisors also we give a separate tag. Every supervisor will have a separate tag, and the tag for tag allocation you use, the tag allocation is the process through which we basically assign tags to each of these 3 layers. So that's how it happens on the shop floor. And this is how it happens. I'm just going to explain you the most interesting part of the presentation, how we have just implemented this on the shop floor as to how it's happening in real life. Now, the worker tags into the workstation. The moment the worker starts working, he comes to the machine and she tags in to report attendance. Because why this is so important, in a current production environment, the efficiency, where you get standard elapsed hours divided by work minutes are basically overestimated. Because you never capture in a manual system the exact work minutes, because the give up time and everything will get accumulated, and there can be circumstances where the operator has tagged in, but she hasn't reported to the line. She has gone to if she has gone to sort of pass water or to something to answer to a call of daily need or something like that, then by the time she comes to the line, it will be too late. So then it basically gives rise to non-productive time, which again leads to lost time, and which will basically sort of erode the overall equipment effectiveness from reducing, from not getting the best out of your total available time for production. So then this basically helps you capture the exact downtime, because the moment she tag, the difference between the tag out time and the tag in time is the operator wise work minute. So it basically sort of do operators good, because it captures, it won't basically sort of underestimate the efficiency. It will basically give the exact efficiency based on the actual work minutes that operator has worked. So the operator will be winning. It's a huge win for the operator, because she will be compensated proportionately with the performance. And then inputs come with a tag assigned. You basically get inputs come with a tag assigned. Inputs come with a tag assigned, and with a bundle you get a tag, and that tag carries along with the bundle. And the moment the girl who's feeding the line gets the bundle, she has to tag on this reader and then feed the bundle into the system, into the line, and it follows. And workers tag in when they start and tag out when they finish or captured automatically. So as I told you, whenever they finish, they tag out. Having done the operation, they tag out from the operation. Now this could be basically on an operator basis, or it could be on a line basis. If you are interested in capturing operator-wise figures, operator-wise KPIs, then every operation, every workstation will have a reader. But if it's not the case, you can basically have line in reader and the line out reader, where you will be capturing only line in and line out figures. So that is one way of doing it, which will basically help you sort of cut way back on the cost of implementing RFID. And then quality inspected and data entered. So here we are entering all these the quality details. As I told, we will be entering the defects against check quantity, defects by defect code, and defectives by operator, by style, by color. We will be entering it in real time. So all this you should be able to see everything on your laptop in real time. And then rejects are recorded. And now this is how it happens when the downtime happens. Whenever a machine is down, there will be an alert sent to the mechanic, and the mechanic will immediately respond to that machine and get the machine back up and running. And once the machine is back up and running, the supervisor confirms, saying the machine is now back up and running. And by that time, we should be able to minimize open downtime, because this helps capture what's called mechanic response cycle time. So this is something that we have effectively used in most of the maize and brandies factories, where we will be capturing this mechanic response cycle time through this system. So these are the real-time control alerts we have. Now we have if you have excessive WIP, and the bottom line behind this is for each of these KPIs, for WIP and for downtime, for overproduction, for underproduction, for high rework, and for efficiencies, we basically set an upper control limit, lower control limit, and target. Even if it's lagging behind the target, even if it has gone above the upper control limit, even if it has come below the lower control limit, meaning the process is out of statistical process control, you will be alerted in real time. And the moment it happens, you can get to the shop floor, you can faster find the root cause than finding it in a manual setup. So the faster you capture the root cause, the faster you eliminate it, and the higher the chance of your hitting the target. So that's the real advantage that this RFID has over manual way of doing it. It basically helps you catch your issues a lot faster than what you can capture, I mean, in a manual way of doing it, than what you can capture manually. So that is the distinctive competence of RFID, helping you catch issues faster than doing the same in a manual way of doing it. And this is the display boards that we are having. And each of these display boards will hang at the end of every line. We are, as I told, since we are working from a sort of Six Sigma quality improvement point of view, we have all basically given all the upper control limits and lower control limits for each of these KPIs. So what happens is just that you just can't afford to be running. You can basically be within statistical process control, but your KPIs may not be centered midway between the upper control limit and the lower control limit. So you need to measure that. So we basically help you measure sort of all these KPIs in real time, not only in relation to target, but also in relation to upper control limit and lower control limit, ensuring what's called statistical process control. I'll just hop on that in a minute's time, where I'll be just rounding off on the presentation. And this is a display board that we'll be giving. At the end of every line, these display boards will be hanging down or suspended from the wall, and the operators can see as to how they are performing. So that's going to be sheer motivation to them. So it's all about improving overall equipment effectiveness through motivation. So and then all these whiteboards and everything and the manual records can simply go off, because it's all in real time, where you should be able to drive your entire shop floor through a paperless environment, cutting way back on the paper cost, and maybe for that matter absolutely eliminating the cost of paper. And then it's about talking about a paperless shop floor that we are talking about. And these are the supervisor consoles. Every supervisor will have each of these. She will be monitoring her in-queue WIP. That means the number of bundles which are waiting to be fed into the line, and the line in WIP and the line out. And the defect percentage and defective percentage and your lost time and your overall equipment effectiveness, all these KPIs will be shown to supervisors. So where we will be empowering the supervisors. So you may be having, it's not a happy headache for you to see all the problems cascade right up to the topmost person. As we mentioned, there's a recorder reporting to you. But if that recorder can be empowered, then I think you can basically sort of relieve your mind to make more strategic informed decision making. So because why are these top guys bothering? Just because if they can empower the people down below, given that they basically don't shirk sense of responsibility, then they should be able to sort of work more strategically in more peace of mind. Okay, right. And these are the supervisor consoles. So these are supervisor consoles, and these are the real-time cockpit charts. Give me 1.5 minutes, I'll be rounding. In 1 minute, I'll be rounding. Yeah, 1 minute. These are the real-time cockpit charts I was talking of, and these real-time cockpit charts will be given to you not only on an hourly basis. Every single time a garment comes out from the line, right in the middle you will be having OTD, and right round you will be having the drivers of it. That means the lost time, absenteeism, your machine downtime, and you will have your absenteeism and defect percentage, defective percentage, project percentage, and rework are the drivers of main OTD, and you will have these things in real time. The advantage of this is you will figure out what exactly is driving your OTD down or driving your efficiency down. So if that is the case, you should be able to attack any of these drivers in real time before it gets too late. So that's a real differentiating edge that you can have over a manual way of doing it. It's all about getting information as and when things happen versus getting information after the shift is over, or maybe just 5 minutes before the shift is over. And these are the statistical process control tools I was talking of, and all these control charts will be generated in real time, because the importance of this control charts against doing run charts is just to ensure that only these charts help you figure out special courses which are quite killing, which you have to get rid of willy-nilly. So this will be generated in real time through RFID. And these are the Six Sigma KPIs: in process yield and roll throughput yield, process sigma level, process capability indices. It will let you know just because your process is within statistical process control doesn't mean the process is capable of delivering. So you will ensure that process is not only within statistical process control, but is capable of delivering to cater to the critical to quality requirements of the customer. And these are the empowerment tools. These are the reports that we are having: overall equipment effectiveness, work center-wise performance, production order movement, quality details by work center, quality summary, rework details by operation, employee movement log, absenteeism log, operator attendance details are the reports that you should be able to generate in real time. And this is the competitive edge that you get. And this is not the competitive edge. And we have to basically, today, having the competitive edge is not just enough. We have to basically talk about what's called distinctive competence. So this is what, through RFID, where you get distinctive competence, just to keep you ahead of the competition or ahead of the curve. Empowers the rest of set of people who really matter. And people who are actually doing the operation and the next layer. And know now, act now. Pointers active 5 minutes before the shift ends, if you get the information in real time. If you have the opportunity of acting every single time a garment comes out, can there ever in your mind be a better option than that? So it's all about people being empowered with the right set of information at the right time, at that passing minute, with quality information to make right strategic decision making at the right time, which is ensured only through real-time production monitoring, which is delivered through RFID. So that is the conclusive and the most sacrosanct, the point that I want to get across to you through my presentation is that in today's context, what keeps you ahead of the competition is getting information faster. The faster you catch the issue, the higher you perform or the higher you stand in the eyes of the customer. So that is what basically ensures your way forward and help you fly the flag much higher than your competitors. So then, yeah, so now my presentation is over. So if you have any questions, the presentation is all open for discussion. Okay. I'm actually thankful for you for affording me just few more minutes, maybe just I think 5-10 minutes or more than.
Sorry for hurrying you up, but we're running a